continent with a huge potential, and we are working also to achieve all our goals and objectives.
Let me be specific, Mr.
S'il vous plaît, afin d'être plus spécifique, qu'est-ce qu'on doit
what kind of support do you expect on the oil and gas sector and from whom in particular, because that's rather new for you and it's an abundance, thank God. How do you plan to seek help from the outside?
Oui, pour le gaz, d'abord.
For gas, we have two
LNG,
different
possible
use. The liquefied gas,
qui est voué à l'exportation.
we are working to export this gas, and the internal use, because we have the high prices of energy inside the country, because the petrol is the main source of energy, so we are now working to diversify the energy sector, and also the renewable, we are working to have more renewable energy and solar power. So we are working to develop the traditional power and the clean power also. So we are working to export the liquefied natural gas and also the internal use. So now we will expand to the international markets. And starting from 2030, we will have a national plan.
Mr. President, you have something interesting happening soon in Dakar, I believe. It's a train that, that will be the first of its kind in your country. What will the West Africa, will West Africa see more of this? How would you plan to share whatever experience you've had in this domain in order to help, as you mentioned, and be part of other African countries? And I would be asking one more question before I go to the Deputy Prime Minister and engage you in a further discussion about inter-African cooperation.
Je vous remercie. Nous avons
Thank you so much.
une grande ambition pour l'émergence. Nous pensons que l'Afrique n'est pas un continent à part. L'Afrique est dans la mondialisation. Aujourd'hui, quand je parle du Sénégal, je raisonne Afrique. Nous devons être dans le concert des nations. Nous devons adopter et apprivoiser les dernières technologies. La raison pour laquelle j'ai fait un pari audacieux il y a 3 ans, c'était d'amener un train électrique à haute vitesse qui va relier le nouvel aéroport international
in Africa,
à la ville de Dakar.
In the city of Dakar, this electric
130 كيلومترا في الساعة، وسيكون ذلك مفيدا بالنسبة لنا، وهذا سيساعدنا على إدخال تقنيات جديدة.
Also we have sports infrastructures, and also we have built an Olympic stadium in Senegal. We are hosting the Youth Olympic Championship in 2020. So Senegal is a country in full expansion. We have tradition and we have modernity. We are through the transformation and support of our youth, we have today all the technology, the modern technology.
And you have in mind, from what I understand, to have Senegal as a hub, digital hub. You have a strategy for 2025, I believe, as a digital hub for the region. Are these plans facing any difficulties, major difficulties? Who would you like to elaborate on what do you plan to do and how do you think this is beneficial to Africa?
regarding the digital hub in Senegal, we launched a program for not only for the national connectivity through a network of 500 kilometers of optical fibers, but also we have
وفيها أقسام في هذه الجامعة وكل الأقسام مرتبطة أو متصلة بالإنترنت. وهذه الجامعة الإلكترونية سيتخرج أو ستتخرج دفعتها الأولى قريبا. وقد تكون هنالك مشاكل للسكان فيما يتعلق بالانتقال والحركة، وبالتالي اتخذنا كل الإجراءات، وأن وزارة الإعلام والخدمات المدنية بهدف أن تضمن تزويد الخدمات المطلوبة وللتعامل كذلك أن تحدث ثورة صناعية في السنغال. فإن العالم الرقمي في الوقت الحاضر يمدنا بفرص وإمكانيات في أن نكون قادرين على المشاركة في الإنتاج وكذلك في إنتاج المعرفة والاقتصاد المعرفي. وليس هذا في السنغال فقط، وإنما كذلك في الدول الأفريقية الأخرى. فهنالك أفريقيا الذكية التي تعمل مع الشركاء الآخرين، وبالتالي أستطيع القول أن قارة أفريقيا ليست فقط قارة للمستقبل، وإنما هي قارة للوقت الحاضر. ولدينا 30 مليون كيلومتر مربع، ولدينا كذلك سكان من العرب أو جاليات من العرب، ولدينا مليار نسمة من السكان. تزخر أفريقيا بكثير من الفرص، وأود أن أدعو وأشجع كل المستثمرين للمجيء والاستثمار معنا. ولدينا شركاء مثل الصينيين.
Je souhaiterais que le monde arabe également et asiatique soit présent dans le cadre d'un partenariat gagnant-gagnant.
Thank you, President Sall. I would like to come back to you with another round of questions, if you don't mind. But I would like to go to Deputy Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Dr. Demi Hassan. Ethiopia has been making strides, actually massive strides in recent years in terms of its economic growth. Now with GDP nearly doubling from $43 billion to $8 billion in 2017, is it? It's the country on track to continue this growth. Is it, can it sustain this growth rate? What is driving this growth, and would it be sufficient to benefit the entire economy?
Thank you, Madam. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to be here on this special platform on investment issues. Ethiopia today, we are managing a double-digit growth for the last 1.5 decades, and still we are striving to continue this momentum, the double-digit growth. Our vision and the target is not simply managing a growth. Now we are working on how to transform the economy from the agrarian economy to industrialized economy. And our central agenda in this regard is how to manage manufacturing industry in the country. The source of growth so far is agriculture, and we are trying our best to modernize our agricultural system and to have that capacity to sustain this development program. But industrialization by itself is a crucial agenda to transform the whole system, and manufacturing and other industrial programs are very crucial. At the same time, investment and private sector engagement in this regard is very crucial and important. So all this contributes to realize this development program with that clear roadmap and that clear direction.
You like to say that Ethiopia is best destination for foreign direct investment. What does it make it such an attractive destination? And are you making the necessary reforms in order to be able to be such an attractive destination?
Yeah. Today, Ethiopia is becoming one of the best destinations for foreign direct investments and for local investors. We have clear policy and we have clear, attractive policies and legal mechanisms to attract investors and the like. When we look about foreign investors, they need prudent system across the country, a modern system, peaceful environment, predictable government, and transparent and accountability across the country. In this regard, we're doing our best to attract foreign investors with a conducive environment, and we're investing on infrastructure like industrial parks, the railway network system, road infrastructure, and our special brand, Ethiopian Airlines, connecting the whole globe, more than 110 countries across the globe, is one of our major brands in promoting our country, our investment policies, and even giving confidence for foreign direct investors to invest there at home in Ethiopia.
You're also the host of the African Union, and I'm sure that there's a lot of inter-African plans taking place, but also Ethiopia has been playing an interesting role in regional peace, in a way connecting regional peace to economic cooperation. You've had successes with Eritrea. I think that there has been a Saudi effort in that. You've had successes with Somalia, with South Sudan. How far have these successes been cemented? Are they cemented? And what remains as a big challenge for you to claim that you really have succeeded in regional peace?
Yeah. We have clear foreign policy in this regard, and our role today, we are playing a vanguard activities at different levels. For example, in the first and top priority is how to sustain internal peace within the community and across the communities at the grassroots level.
That's right, that's been a brand.
And the second, how to play a vanguard, a role model as regional peace players across the globe. If you look, the Horn Africa, around East Africa, is the most volatile region with different problems and the like. Ethiopia plays a very significant role as a peace champion to deal with the Somalia case, and again to deal with the Ethiopia-Eritrea case. Our new Prime Minister, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, he played a pivotal role to have that peaceful agreement and confidence between Eritrea and Ethiopia. Now we have already started the peace dividend between the two countries and building confidence across that region. And again, within the IGAD framework, Ethiopia as a chairman, we are playing a very important role for South Sudan peace engagement. I think it is now on the right track for they agreed on power sharing and solving their internal problems for sustainable development and the like. The whole now, the whole cloud looks a very peaceful and promising environment for investment, for regional integrations and peaceful discourses.
Inshallah, we wish you luck on that.
Thank you.
President Macky Sall, can I speak to you about your vision, the vision of Senegal Emerging Plan that has 3 pillars as I understood. One is structural transformation of the economy, one is social inclusion, and one is good governance. Now, there are details of each. For example, the structural transformation touches on issues such as agriculture and social housing, education, tourism, but the social inclusion has also the inclusion of villages and through medical coverage and what have you, and then there is good governance. Are you satisfied with your own record of good governance? Are you happy that you can be called really that you have applied the social inclusions perfectly?
Absolutely. Merci beaucoup. Le plan Sénégal émergent est une vision stratégique de développement qui a été bâtie sur 3 axes, comme vous l'avez si justement rappelé. La transformation structurelle de l'économie, c'est l'axe premier. L'axe 2 parle du capital humain, de l'inclusion et du développement durable. Et l'axe 3 parle de la bonne gouvernance, de la paix et de la sécurité. Sur l'axe 1, nous savons qu'il ne peut y avoir de développement sans infrastructures, puisque l'infrastructure est le soutien du développement. C'est la raison pour laquelle nous avons mis l'accent sur, premièrement, l'augmentation des capacités de production. Et c'est dans ce cadre que nous avons modernisé notre agriculture, qui a, en 5 années, battu des records. On a multiplié par 3 les productions qui sont passées, par exemple, pour le riz, qui était une des denrées majeures du Sénégal, de 450 000 tonnes à 1 14 000 tonnes l'année dernière. Sur l'arachide, on a multiplié par 3 les productions, passant de 450 000, 500 000 tonnes à 1 400 000 tonnes. Et ça nous a ramené dans la perspective de l'exportation. Comment avons-nous fait cela? Nous avons non seulement modernisé l'agriculture par une mécanisation, en dotant les paysans, les producteurs de capacités nouvelles, avec des subventions bien entendu, en mettant de la fertilisation dans l'agriculture et des recherches, les résultats des recherches agronomiques. Mais cette transformation structurelle est passée d'abord par la mise à niveau de notre système électrique, puisque vous le savez, l'Afrique, malgré ses potentiels en matière énergétique, reste le continent où l'électricité est la plus chère, reste le continent le moins éclairé. Donc il fallait régler la question de l'électricité, ce qui est aujourd'hui entièrement réglé. Nous avons aussi dans l'axe 1 de la transformation structurelle beaucoup travaillé sur l'habitat et sur tout ce qui est environnement numérique tel que nous l'avons indiqué. Et nous pouvons vraiment citer beaucoup de choses sur cette transformation structurelle. Mais en résumé, nous avons modifié les capacités de production de notre pays, ce qui nous a projeté dans les croissances que vous voyez aujourd'hui autour de 7%. L'axe 2, nous nous disons qu'il ne peut pas y avoir de croissance sans inclusion. Autrement, on va laisser une majeure partie de la population au bord de la route. Alors, j'ai donc initié des programmes de soutien aux familles, des programmes de soutien pour la couverture maladie universelle, ça c'est l'axe 2, et aussi au niveau de l'éducation en particulier. Ça c'était l'axe 2, et nous avons là-dessus des résultats probants. Et l'axe 3, on ne peut pas développer un pays sans bonne gouvernance. Là aussi, il a fallu prendre des mesures nouvelles dans ce cadre.
But, Mr. President, if you would allow me, and it's been written in the media, and I'm sure you're aware of this, and you probably would like the opportunity to address this accusation that you speak of inclusion and governance, but you have been accused of practicing exclusion, political exclusion, including, for example, the mayor of Dakar being sentenced to prison, the Karim Wade, the son of the former president, has been jailed and accused of corruption. These things have been in the media. I'd like to give you the opportunity to address them and explain how you put this together with the pillars you spoke about good governance, inclusion, including of political opponents.
Yeah, vous savez, quand on parle, j'espère d'abord que vous ne croyez pas à tout ce qu'on vous dit dans les médias. C'est un conseil, une précaution, parce qu'il faut venir vous renseigner. Et lorsque dans un pays, la justice, qui est l'organe par lequel le pays rend ses décisions, la justice instruit à charge et à décharge et juge jusqu'à la Cour suprême, il n'est pas acceptable que par des clichés et par des commentaires malveillants, on veuille jeter l'opprobre sur la gouvernance d'un pays. Le Sénégal, je vous rappelle, est un pays démocratique. Moi-même, je suis arrivé à la tête du pays par un processus démocratique que nul ne peut contester. Nous avons engagé une politique de rigueur pour le respect des biens publics. Ceux qui sont en faute par rapport à ces politiques devront répondre devant la loi. Et c'est ce qui a été fait.
We have a policy of inclusion, and everybody has benefited from all this development, and now we have the state of law, and now the justice can say everything, and anyone who needs to know what is happening in our country, he has to seek information. But now Senegal is a democratic model in Africa and in the world. We don't listen to all the rumors, whatever they are. We are a country, we are living in a democracy. We don't have any attempt of exclusion to anybody else, whoever they are. Included the persons you've mentioned. So we don't have any exclusion. I cannot exclude anybody here. These are my people, and they put their trust in me. So this is not true.
Thank you. Dr. Hassan, we see that there is a lot of Ethiopians overseas. I see them in Washington, in New York, in Beirut. You have a lot of people who flee the country, and you have a huge growing population of the youth. What are you doing to attract Ethiopians to stay home, the youth to develop talents or to harness their talents? What is your plan really to say everyone wants to stay home or come home? Do you have one?
Yeah. It is true. We have many Ethiopians living abroad, perhaps from 100 million people is expected to be there. Generally, our development roadmap and our transformation plan is inclusive and is social oriented and trying to address the youth and the emerging society totally. It is clear today, Africa as a whole and Ethiopia, the emerging youth population, we have to manage the one, and the employability issue is becoming one of the important areas to be addressed in this regard. To address this problem, we're marching different reform programs, economic reform programs, legal reform programs, and political reform programs, and still we are trying to persuade our citizens to be at home and to use its local opportunity instead of looking for other places, for other even unknown places. But due to different networks, instead of exploring and instead of maximizing their potential at home, they prefer to look outside different areas. Now, we have already the new government. We invited the diasporas to come to home and to contribute and to play their role and even to be beneficial players in this transformation process.
How are you making that an attractive invitation? What are you doing to tempt them to come home and stay home?
Yeah, the first thing, the issue of job creation. Job creation is an important tool for this, and accessing different opportunities, investments for local, for citizens, and other different mechanisms, and to be comfortable to live there at home. The governance reform, our prudent system, the economic reform, all this contributes to attract who live abroad and want to decide to come home and to invest in their home countries. And there is a special modality, and there is a special pull factor. We have already placed for them as a special treatment for sustainable development and to be active engagement in the transformation process as a whole.
Do you think privatization is an important aspect of this?
Yeah, that's also one important area for them to attract and to invest in different areas. We have a clear privatization policy and different mechanisms to attract and to invest at home with their families and other friends.
You heard President Sall speak about China and the importance of the relationship with China. I know many African countries have a very important relationship with China, which is an excellent thing to have. I'm not challenging the premise of such a good relationship. But somebody whispered in my ear to ask you, what is this? You favor Chinese companies and Chinese investments over others. Is that true? Somebody says to me, do I have to be a Chinese to be welcome in Ethiopia? Do you want to address that? And then, Mr. President, if you would also take a look at this question and see if you want to answer it.
Yeah. Let me clear on this point. We have a clear strategy, investment policy, and legal framework in this regard. Our policy and our system is color blind. It's a color blind approach. We don't want to stick with one country and with one system. It's open to all. It is true, Chinese are engaging on infrastructure and different activities there. But they are not Chinese only. The Saudi investors, the Indian investors, the Turkish investors, American investors from the US, from Europe, and other partners also engaging there. For economic cooperation and investment, our system is open and we are color blind, and our target is to attract every investor from the different globes. Today, Africa as a continent is a rising continent. Ethiopia is one of the exemplary countries in this regard, demonstrating double-digit growth and the like, and the best place for investment. So, some countries, they decided, and some citizens, they decided to invest in Ethiopia, but not others. But this emerging economy, the predictable country, and where everything is smooth, it is open to invest there and to be part of this transformation process.
Mr. President, you wanted to come in on this subject, I hear. I saw you wanted to address this issue of China.
Yes. Senegal is an open country. Certainly, China is not like the traditional investors like the European and the American, but Chinese came with more power. From 2015 to 2018, China invested $100 billion, and during the three coming years is committed to pay more money for the infrastructure. Africa now need more infrastructure. For example, the railways. We have a lot of institutional investors who would like to invest in this sector. Also, we have the Chinese, so we don't have any preference. But Africa is open, and my country, Senegal, also, we have a lot of European and American investors in the energy, but in the infrastructure today, the Chinese have a very important, are playing a very important role in the infrastructure. So the difference is the financing is coming from the Chinese government. So the Africans can have access to long-term investment and funding. So if we have the same facilities, if other investors can give us the same facilities, if the Arab countries can come they will be more than welcome, because there are a lot of things to do in Africa. As a matter of the construction of the railways, we have also an open market. We have 5 connected countries in Africa, so we need people to come here and establish partnership with Africa. So because we need the capitals from all over the world and from different partnerships.
In being a partner in the infrastructure of oil and gas?
Pas du tout.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. In the beginning, we have the gas and petrol operations. For gas, we have the British petroleum companies. We have Total. But we are open. We don't have any prejudice. We don't have any preferences. Those who would like to come and negotiate with us and work in a partnership spirit, so they will be more than welcome.
Question, unless I'm told otherwise. Is this a good thing to, I mean, actually, there is a reputation about Africa, that's the continent of receiving aid. How is your vision? What do you plan to do to change that perception from the strategy of aid and borrowing to the strategy of investment? How do you plan to erase that perception and get a hold of your own future and put your own mark on how you want to be seen? This question is for both of you, please.
D'abord,
In the outset, thank you so much. I'd like to correct something. The public aid lowered extremely in the last few years. But we still need more cooperation in the social sectors and in the health sector. But we don't need more help or support, but we need more partnership with the public and private sectors in light of the partnership between the different parties. Thank you so much.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Just one word only. You're fine with it?
Yeah, self-sufficiency, technological capability, and commitment is very crucial to address this practical problem in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for listening to us. Thank you. Okay. We go.
It's easy to forget how you got here, when it was just you and your idea. When you were alone, waiting for that breakthrough.
Everyone said we couldn't do it.
That we were crazy, that the risk was too high.
You know, we were working out of my garage, living off credit cards.
I mortgaged my house.
But I knew if we could disrupt our industry, we could own it.
That we could break through to a whole world of opportunity.
I was never satisfied with the way things were.
I knew there was a better way.
I failed so many times. I lost count. I was stuck.
And then, out of nowhere, it came to me.
Eureka! It was that spark.
Alexander Fleming saved 200 million lives. Marie Curie took a deadly weapon and turned it into cancer treatment. Edison illuminated our world. Nobutoshi Kihara put music in the palm of our hand. Jobs merged elegance and technology and weaved it into our daily lives. The Wright brothers connected us to far-flung places and people around the world. And Zuckerberg put those same connections right at our fingertips. We can't imagine our world without these things. And yet, when they began their quest, it was for a world that didn't even exist. They were just dreamers.
وليس مكان لأي مستثمر أو أي شركة تقليدية. هذا مشروع فقط موقع ومكان للحالمين اللي يريدون خلق شيء جديد في هذا العالم.
The next generation of game changers is here, in this room. The dreamers, the doers, are those alongside you, and that voice inside you. The spark is here. It's now.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our moderator, former chief of the Royal Hashemite Court and former Minister of Finance, Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, Dr.
دكتور باسم عوض الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
من هذا نفسه في فرنسا هنا. السادة الكرام، in a world
لا يهدأ، في عالم مليء بالتنافس والتصادم، في عالم تسوده الكثير من الفجوات والفوارق بين الدول وفي المجتمع الواحد، بين الغني والفقير، بين المتعلم والأمي، بين الرجل والمرأة، بين شباب يشارك في تحقيق أحلامه وطموحاته وشباب يعاني من التهميش والإقصاء. هذا العالم الذي يطوق الإنسان لأن يعيش فيه بكرامة وسلام وعدالة وإنصاف يحتاج إلى قادة برؤية وإرادة وعزم. ولعل منطقتنا العربية هي أكثر من يحتاج إلى هؤلاء القادة المتنورين والقادرين. منطقة يعاني 27% من سكانها من الأمية، وخمس سكانها من الفقر، و27% من شبابها و47% من نسائها من البطالة. منطقة يسودها الحروب والنزاعات والصراعات الطائفية والإثنية، جعلتها تضم 44% من مجموع اللاجئين في العالم. ولعل اليوم وبعيداً عن المغالاة والمجاملة نرى في الأفق قيادات عربية قادرة ومسؤولة تسعى إلى تحقيق طموحات شعوبها وتعد بالإنجاز وبمواكبة التغيير.
And they have the willingness and the ability, and they are seeking knowledge and knowledge transformation. I am honored and privileged to have at this session 4 of these leaders, Arab leaders. His Royal Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, the Deputy President of the UAE, the Prime Minister and His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, the Crown Prince and the Deputy Prime Minister in the Kingdom of Bahrain, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, the Crown Prince, the Vice President of the Council of Ministers and Minister of Defense in Saudi Arabia. His Excellency Prime Minister Saad Al-Hariri, the Prime Minister of Lebanon. the Prime Minister of Lebanon, Excellencies, Highnesses, and the President. You have something in common, which is the triangle of vision and entrepreneurship and sovereignty with respect for identity on the roots. In all of your name, I welcome you to honor us in this session, and I invite you to the stage. Your Excellency, Prince, the organizers of this conference asked me to speak in English for all of you in order to make it easier for the foreign guests who do not speak, although we have simultaneous interpretation. So we accept that request. We will start with you, Your Excellency. صاحب السمو الملكي، شرحتم في رؤية عام 2020 للبحرين، ومنذ ذلك الوقت فإن البحرين حققت الكثير.
A regional hub and international hub for finance in terms of achieving excellent rankings in the World Bank Human Capital Index. You rank first among the regional countries. You rank first among the regional countries and 31st globally in terms of ICT development. But despite all these achievements, there are structural challenges. 100% of the public debt will reach 100% of GDP. This is what is estimated for next year. Your budget deficit is for 2018, you would require a price of oil of $99 in order to achieve balance. These are big challenges. Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait came up with an assistance package, an investment package for Bahrain in the amount of $10 billion US. My question to you, will this be enough to help you mitigate the challenges? And what are the measures that you will undertake in order to really meet the challenges head on and be able to enable the economy of Bahrain to have positive growth in the future?
Opening statement, I think, in answer to well, Your Royal Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be here. And in my opening statement, I think in answer to your question, I would first like to extend my thanks to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and the State of Kuwait for their very generous stand and understanding and belief in what we're trying to do. In 2008, when we launched Vision 2030, we based it around a set of principles. Those principles were competitiveness, fairness, and sustainability. Now, we knew if we wanted to tackle sustainability, we had to have enough wind in our sails. So there was a great deal of deficit spending, especially after the financial crisis of 2008 and the troubles that we faced in 2011. I am very happy to report that the Kingdom of Bahrain has never shown a year of negative growth, ever. We put in place a number of policies to help us achieve that goal. So we tackled, let's say, 6 major factors of production. We made sure that land was accessible, energy was accessible, labor was accessible, capital was accessible, the laws were in line with what needs to be considered best global practice, and we had international connectivity, both physical and digital. Those were the main things that we focused on in the last 10 years. Of course, you've just heard me not mention sustainability. The levels of spending that we had put in place were not sustainable with the current economic structure. We were very successful in diversifying our economy, and last year our non-oil growth was 5%, which is quite remarkable, really, for the region, considering the challenges we face.
One of the highest in the region.
So I don't know if this is known, but because we have diversified our economy, oil is only 80% of our GDP. However, here's the problem. Our government revenue did not match our economic growth. So oil accounts today for 75% of government revenue. And this is unsustainable at current expenditure. So the goal of this fiscal injection, if you want to call it that, we like to call it a structural fiscal balance package, allows us to restructure our economy to be more ready and more capable of being sustainable well into the next decade. We will do a number of things to achieve this. The first being we will reduce our operational costs of doing business in government. Two, we will balance the accounts of our electricity and water generation, because frankly, right now that's one of the top 3 major drains on our budget. Third, we have introduced an early retirement package, or a voluntary retirement package, actually. It's very successful. I think to date we have over 6,000 applications. It may be a bit more. I haven't checked the numbers in the last 2 days. And lastly, we have successfully introduced the VAT system, the Gulf VAT system, and that is something I'm very proud of the Bahraini people for doing. It's not an easy thing to do, and it passed with flying colors through our parliament. So, in short, I think while we are an oil economy, we don't want to remain strictly tied to it as a source of income. Let's think of it this way. We need to move from an oil economy to a smart oil economy. And if we succeed at doing that, I will have been a success.
الله يعطيك العافية سيدي.
شكرا.
دولة الرئيس سعد الحريري. لبنان رغم كل التحديات السياسية والأمنية والاقتصادية والسكانية استثمر بشعبه، استثمر بالإنسان اللبناني. هنالك مؤشر على تفوق لبنان عربياً المرتبة الأولى والمرتبة الرابعة عالمياً في جودة التعليم بالعلوم والرياضيات لعام 2018. وطبعاً لبنان يصدر
Japan, of course, exports thousands, tens of thousands of its educated sons and daughters to the Gulf area. And although this fact is based on the international reports of the World Bank, of course, referred to the weak economic performances, and of course that is estimated by 1.5 this year, and the budget deficit is going to be 3.7%. Of course, my question, Your Excellency Prime Minister, of course, and you're going to, of course, you're working so hard to form a new government, and do you think that this government, of course, once formed, going to have a great transfer and quality transfers in facing, confronting the challenges that are facing Lebanon now? There's no doubt, undoubtedly, Lebanon is facing a number of challenges in these days, and of course, this government that you're going to form, of course, it is going to include, of course, what is the National Coalition and Agreement as well, and in former governments that truly was based on a National Coalition and Agreement, of course, and then we through organizing a number of conferences and meetings as well in Brussels, and so this is going to be for the common good and for the good of the Republic of Lebanon, Lebanese Republic, and what is really important for all of us is the reform that we need to achieve in Lebanon, and of course any delay that truly has been caused in this government forming this government, because we are looking forward to forming a government that truly can touch and that can achieve the wishes and meet expectations of the Lebanese citizens in Lebanon for the time being, of course, and truly we are facing a number of changes. The whole world is changing. In 2018, for instance, we still have laws since 1950s of last century and the 70s of last century. I mean, so this means that really we need to work hard to change all of these regulations and laws. So this government, that's going to be formed, is going to work so hard so as to overcome all the economic challenges and the growth that is estimated by 1.5. So I believe, I'm so optimistic, and I think that Chile is going to be very serious. Government is going to regain the trust and the confidence of the citizens in his state because of the long suffering since the martyrdom of my father. And so there has been a lot of changes. So this government, and then after electing, of course, the president, His Excellency President Michel Aoun, and these elections were not well expected from people who didn't have any good expectations. And so this government is going to be a good image of the new assembly, People's Assembly, and that has admitted and has all the reforms and that we have decided in Paris. So God willing, and in addition, and the most important thing for all of us and for this government specifically is that really the ministers, and they are going to be appointed, are going to be young ministers, including female ministers, because we believe that really the women has to play an important role in the public office in Lebanon, and this is going. In my perspective, I think that Chile, if women are responsible for running the country, I think that Chile are going to be feeling very comfortable. And God willing, this next government, is going to perform in an excellent level based on the highly qualified cadres, with highly qualified cadres, and that's going to focus on giving more roles for women to play. In addition, they will, and things that we decided, of course, naturally going to be carried out, and everything's going to be set right based on the ministerial declaration and a statement. Lebanon, of course, now forming the government in Lebanon, it takes time because they like to work all together. So, and as we said before, so in 9 months, in 10 months, of course, but God willing, during the days to come, we were going to be conforming this government will, God willing. Your Royal Highness. Of course, I'm so sorry. Excuse me for asking. Before I get in this topic, the economic investment-based topic that I'm going to ask Your Highness. Of course, we cannot continue before asking something that I got in mind and the minds of all the attendees and attendants. So in my mind as well, the Khashoggi case, and I would like to ask this question to Your Highness, Your Highness.
First of all, the crime was really painful to all Saudis, and I believe it is painful to every human in the world. It is a heinous crime that cannot be justified. Today, Saudi Arabia is carrying out all legal things to finalize the investigations, to cooperate with the Turkish government, and to present the perpetrators to the court and take their judgment. This is the expected thing that all governments would do once they see a crime. Undoubtedly, the cooperation today between the Saudi and Turkish government is unique, and we know that many are trying to use this painful thing to drive a wedge between Saudi Arabia and Turkey. I want to send them a message. They will not be able to do that as long as there is a king called King Salman bin Abdulaziz. And a crown prince called Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia. And a president in Turkey called Erdogan. This wedge will not happen, and we will prove to the world that the two governments are cooperating to see that all perpetrators are taken to court and justice will be seen at the end. This is what I can say. In addition to this, Saudi Arabia has taken steps, very huge steps in developing the Saudi economy in the past 3 years and in restructuring many institutions and sectors. Today, it is time to restructure national security institutions in Saudi Arabia in order to meet and be equal to the rest of the institutions that have been upgraded and developed.
Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness. Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness. Before just to get back to you, of course, now you talked about reforms, Your Excellency. This issue, of course, is very painful, and there are a lot of pains, and where every citizen, of course, is going to feel this pain based on these reforms. And you adopted and embraced, of course, Center conference that is based on the international community, in addition to the role of the international community to enhance Lebanon. Are you going to accept, of course, are the all parties and the government parties going to accept exactly what's going to happen and what's going to happen? And are the Lebanese citizens going to bear and endure such pains, of course? And thank you very much for such important question. This very crucial problem. Undoubtedly, of course, any reform in any country of the world, of course, as usually people do not want to change. They like to go on and just just like they're doing they do business in a traditional way, of course. But of course we cannot continue. We cannot go. And so that's the reason why I was very keen on organizing, and based on this internet and in this Saturday conference, most of our political friends and partners, of course, they have to have a consensus on all the decisions that were made in Saturday, just based on the ministerial council, and we're going based on all the national dialogues with all our counterparts, political counterparts. The basic thing, of course, that any politician joins the government has to approve all the reforms of Saturday, because we're Lebanon, of course, cannot meet these challenges without these reforms. And so, in addition, of course, this is, of course, there are many different issues like corruption, of course, and we work so hard just to fight. All of these issues, of course, and I would like from here to thank all the countries that really, contributed and played a major role. For instance, to communicate. I was always in continuity in communication with His Royal Highness, of course, and he played an important role, for instance, to talk all our his counterparts in other countries to invest in Lebanon. Of course, Saturday is based on two main issues, two main points. Of course, develop the private sector, in which is Lebanon, for instance, we have worked so hard to develop the concept of DPP, most of the electricity-based products, water and roads and communications, all of these is going to be based on the private sector, of course. We're going to pay a penny in such sectors, but it's still there are a lot of other projects, for instance, that are based on the feasibility study, which shows not to be business-oriented, for instance, like wastewater treatment and all of these projects. Of course, this is going to be dealt by the World Bank and and the Public Investment Fund that's going to join our other partners, so as to help us in addition to the assistance that comes from Kuwait and other countries that truly put just like 11 billion, more than $11 billion, and I think that the reforms are going to focus on so many areas that's going to be based on changing the work level in Lebanon, and this type of change, of course, is going to be for the good of Lebanon, and is going to be for the national interests of Lebanon. So, and I think, and I personally think that all Lebanese people are very cautious and fully aware that Lebanon cannot go on doing business as we used to do before. So we need to actually to create such reforms, and we said that and to be bold and And this type of investment, of course, is going to cause growth. And as you know, the Chilean Lebanon, for instance, the problem that we used to suffer, we have 1.5 million Syrian refugees, and this is going to constitute a great big burden on Lebanese, of course, in the center, and that's going to focus on infrastructures. I think that really this money spent is going to be spent on the country, on all the projects. For instance, the growth is going to increase to be estimated by $2 billion US, and I think that Chile is going to be, and the return is going to be create 55,000 jobs in so many sectors like electricity, and even in addition to the other sectors that I named. And I think that Chile, we are on track of reforms, and these reforms, and all our counterparts and our partners in political party, they will approve and agree on such reforms, Your Royal Highness. And the reforms, of course, became very fruitful. Right now, 1.9% is going to be expected of economic growth this year, of course, with actually with the reduction in and the budget deficit is going to be lower, 4.7, and the next year, of course, 1.7. And these are great achievements. And however, still there are some doubts as regards to the seriousness of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in carrying out the reforms, the required reforms. I mean, the economic and social altogether. Is the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia going to be on track of reforms?
First, I ask everybody not to believe me. Just look at the numbers. Numbers speak louder. To correct the information you mentioned, the expectation for the exports of Saudi from 2.2 to 2.5%. This has been revisited 5 times. Every day we revisit the numbers to be better. Next year will be better. If we look at the numbers in the past 2 or 3 years, we see, for example, that our non-oil revenues have doubled 3 times, tripled. The budget this year is the largest in the Saudi history. The next budget will be more than 1 trillion riyals. We find that the rate of spending, the capex and operation is increasing, and the salaries is decreasing. And 3 years ago, the rate of salaries to the budget is 50%. We expect next year to be 45%. Although the spending is increasing and this chapter is increasing, the percentage is decreasing despite the employment is increasing. We believe unemployment rate will improve until 2030. The Saudi, the Public Investment Fund was $350 million. This year is 300 billion. By the end of the year, it'll be more than 400 billion. So, which is one of the objectives 2020. It could be achieved in 2019. So it could be by 2020 it should reach 500 billion, reaching 2 trillion or more by 2030. Our position in global competitiveness is better. This has been announced. Just look at the numbers. Don't believe me. It will explain to you where we were and where we are, and look at the numbers next year, and it will explain more. Also, reform in other sectors, like in the cultural, entertainment, or sports. I believe these numbers are very clear when looking at classifying Saudi Arabia or events in Saudi Arabia. There are leaps in Saudi Arabia in the past 3 years, and this is something that no doubt continue. We live among people that is great. Once they identify a goal, they will achieve it. No obstacle is too great for the Saudi people. All our mega projects are ongoing. Our war on extremism is ongoing. Our war on terrorism is ongoing. Developing and upgrading the country is ongoing. No matter what they do to lower our speed or hinder our speed, they will not succeed.
I came back again to ask you in English.
Your Highness, most of the investors in this hall
معظم المستثمرين في هذه القاعة يريدون أن يستثمروا.
How do you convince them to come to Bahrain?
تقنعهم لأن يأتوا إلى البحرين للاستثمار في البحرين. الآن لقد وضعتني في مشكلة.
That's the question.
That's the question. اسمح لي الله يطول عمرك. All right. Well, here's the
Actually, they're investing and we are investing in Bahrain.
Exactly. تسلم يا طويل العمر. His Royal Highness stole the words out of my mouth. The people are investing in Bahrain. And the good news is that in 2015, FDI was about $65 million. Which doesn't seem like a lot, but it was good for that year, if you consider the drop in the price of oil and all of the other ancillary economic activity that got affected. But this year, we're forecasting over 600. So that is a 10-fold increase in 3 years. Wow. Alhamdulillah. But here's the even better news. Any growth in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, any reform in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, any success in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is very contagious for the region. We see a very bright future as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia continues to reform and continues to invest in all of these or giga projects, as they're called in English. And frankly, we've seen it. I have been on the forefront of the reform agenda, well, since we first met each other about 20 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, when I first met Bassem, it was, I think, on a dusty day in Aqaba, maybe in Jordan, or was it in Amman, maybe? I'm not sure.
It was in the Red Sea, actually.
It was at the Red Sea. Red Sea. But
I was 15 then, you know.
Well, you managed to keep. I went gray. But the dreams are still the same dreams. The view that His Royal Highness has for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is what we all want for our countries. And if Saudi Arabia, which is the main engine of growth for this whole region and the main pillar of stability, is successful and is growing, then we are all doing very well. So in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen, growth in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is good for us. Please invest in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. All of you that are here, please invest. Because when you invest in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, you are investing us, and the world is a safer place.
Your Royal Highness, don't worry, we have $50 billion yesterday and today.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
سمو الأمير مرة أخرى أريد أن أعود إلى موضوع الشرق الأوسط. كيف ترون مستقبل هذه المنطقة، مستقبل الشرق الأوسط؟
I believe there are unique projects in the Middle East. If we look at the Middle East after the establishment, the foundation of the UN, it was a difficult period. There are countries that are operating well, used natural resources, especially oil in the Gulf. But a man came in the 90s, and he showed us an example, a model, and he proved that we can succeed in the Middle East, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid. He presented a model in Dubai, and he made everyone in the Middle East convinced that they can do, not like Dubai, but even more. He increased the bar, and we want to increase the bar in Saudi Arabia, and everybody wants to do the same. We could see after that Abu Dhabi moved quite forcefully with great achievements. The rest of the Emirates, Bahrain, since the Crown Prince took office in '99 until today, many great achievements. This is not to be mentioned to or compared to what's going to happen in the future. Kuwait today, they have 2030 vision, 35 vision. They have great people. They have great financial resources. Quite easily, they will meet their goals, great goals. Today in Egypt, Last year, it was 5% or a little more growth in the GDP. Today, more than GDP. Unemployment rate is declining quite rapidly. The building of housing projects, I could not believe it myself. I visit some areas in Egypt. I find all the officials, they're crying while working on the ground in order to restore the great Egypt and the powerful Egypt. And despite all of this, they believe that no matter what they achieved in the past 2 years is nothing. They haven't started yet. We could see that there's tremendous work led by the Prime Minister in Lebanon to also restore the great role of Lebanon. And I guarantee that the efforts of our brothers in Lebanon will succeed under the leadership of the Prime Minister and the rest of the Lebanese leaders. Jordan, they have also quite leaps, and we participate in some of these projects. Oman, they have mega projects, and they're trying to transform Oman to a new era, in addition to Saudi Arabia. I believe that Europe, the new Europe, is the Middle East. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in the coming 5 years will be totally different. Bahrain will be totally different. Kuwait, even Qatar, despite our difference with them, they have a strong economy and they will be totally different in 5 years. Emirates, Oman, Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt, Iraq, and the opportunities they have. If we succeed in the next 5 years, many other countries will follow up. The coming renaissance in the next 30 years will be in the Middle East. This is the war of the Saudis. This is my war, which I launched personally, and I don't want to leave this life before seeing the Middle East at the forefront of the world, and it will happen 100%.
فقط للتنويه أي حرب
Any war, by the way, there are wars where we can lose. I don't believe that we will win in every war. But for the Saudis, we have a mountain called Taweg Mountain. The will of the Saudis is as strong as this mountain. They will be defeated only if you can defeat and destroy this mountain.
Your Excellency, the Prime Minister, I'd like to ask you the same question. What do you expect and how do you see inside the future of the Middle East? After the Prime Minister and the Crown Prince answered that we will be with the Prime Minister in war, and I as well, most important, His Excellency, His Royal Excellency, that we need to focus on our nations and peoples and the growth in our countries. We need to we need to develop ourselves. This is the only way to realize in the Middle East a new kind of situation, a new future, a new economy in this world that competes across all the world. Economically, wars ended up. It is now we have the economic wars. We need to see who gets into the markets, who penetrates into the markets of others. What the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is doing, headed by the custodian of the Mosque and the Crown Prince, is the basic thing, because there's quite energy in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I lived in Saudi Arabia and I was educated in Saudi Arabia. This kind of energy that we see in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we've never seen before. There was a kind of big plans and they have achieved actually, but again at the same time there should be more change, more transformation, and as referred by the Executive of Bahrain, this kind of change will need to adapt and need to see the light in all the nations around us, around the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, with Egypt, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, even Lebanon, even Iraq, even in Tunisia, Morocco, all these countries, we see that we see a kind of development and the growth, the economy sectors, and we always focus on our national economy or the Arab economy and the Arab economies, which of course reflects this kind of development and growth and what His Excellency, Royal Excellency, already spoken about. We can never add anything more. We just kind of like push it up, and we all Arabs, and we all in the Middle East. We need to cooperate and collaborate so that we create economic power, energy. Then after that, you can communicate with us. Thank you so much. The final word to His Excellency of Bahrain. What I can ما أستطيع أن أقول.
Comments are laid down as a marker for us to rally. It's a rallying cry for us to rally around, and we will support you in all your endeavors. You have a brother in Bahrain, and I know in Lebanon, and many among you here. We are so proud to see you say those words and mean them. مشكور الله يطول عمرك. 86 years ago, we found
86 years ago,
we found a tremendous resource under the soil of the desert, oil. And we built pipelines, and we built refineries, and we built ports to ship that oil and that valuable resource to the world. And with that money, we built schools, we built universities, we built hospitals, we built housing, and we built the modern countries in which we live. Today, the power that we must unleash in the Arab world is the power of innovation, al-ibtikar. And we must give people the tools to succeed in that. So the pipelines that we build in the future are lines of credit and support for startups and for businesses all over the region. The refineries that we build must be the incubators that house and allow great ideas and companies to be born. And the ports are the infrastructure and our connectivity to the world, whether that be physical infrastructure in aircraft and whatnot, or the digital infrastructure that we need so that we can compete on an equal footing with any other geography that is known to us. I am so proud of His Royal Highness's pride in the people of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We are also proud of the people of Bahrain. I know, Your Excellency, the people of Lebanon are always in your mind. We must be proud as Arabs, كعرب, نفتخر بتاريخنا وتراثنا. We must be proud of who we are. واللي أهم من اللي ممكن نكون.
Who we can be.
We should always. And on this journey, I wish you all well, and I am honored to be here by your side.
Are we done? I just want to conclude with one thing. Prime Minister Saad is going to be here for 2 days, so please no say that he is kidnapped.
سيدي
بس بدي أقول شغلة واحدة.
Just to say one thing, with all success, you should always have someone shooting at you, and this kind of such a great success that Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is trying to achieve and not sharp, and the transformation is trying to realize. There always should be, we should always be some people envious of us, and also we should have people keeping us down. So I always pray that this country will be well guided, well protected by Allah.
I'd like to thank Your Royal Highness and Prime Minister, because you have restored confidence and trust to the Arab people, because you are the leadership and you are the giant, because you are the boldness and the innovation and modernization, and because you maintain sovereignty and history and our identity. I would like to thank you all.